What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Most Valuable Podcast. My name is Mark Williams with my colleague
Victor Castro.
and we are just two dudes who do real estate for a living. And today we're going to talk about a topic that kind of has come to light, Victor, in our prayers to everybody in the Los Angeles County area that has been affected by these crazy wildfires. But what this kind of brings to light is the epidemic that has kind of been taking place for, I would say, about 2 years now in the state of California, and that is California home insurance and how home insurance has been affecting potential buyers like yourself or those who already own homes, like myself and yourself, Victor. We've all experienced some form of what's going on here, and we want to kind of tell you guys today kind of what we've been experiencing over the last 2 years in helping buyers purchase homes. Some of our existing clients reaching out to us with regards to what's going on with their home insurance policies, and kind of like something needs to be done. And the sad part about it is it's going to take probably something to this magnitude that's taking place in Los Angeles where people are losing their lives, losing their livelihoods, that I feel it's going to take something of this magnitude to kind of create some type of reform and try to find a solution to this glaring problem, man. It's crazy out there.
Yeah. Hey, our prayers go out to all the families that have been affected by this. Hey, we recently were affected as well up here in Northern California as well. The Sacramento area.
Yeah.
You have all those fires as well. And it's crazy to think you can lose everything in just a blink of an eye, man.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like, when we think of insurance as normal, everyday people, right? In California, you have to have, well, you're supposed to. Some people don't, because there's something called uninsured motorist, which doesn't make sense to me, because if everyone's supposed to be insured to legally drive, why do I have to pay extra for uninsured coverage if someone's uninsured, right? Anyways, but when we think of insurance, we think of car insurance, medical insurance. That's kind of most people's understanding of how insurance works, right? You have dental insurance. You get a cavity, you go to the dentist, you pay a deductible, cavity gets fixed. You get in a little fender bender, you pay your deductible, car gets fixed, right? And there's usually, it's usually a smooth process, right? You know what you're covered for, how much you're covered for. If the car is totaled where it costs more than what the car is worth, they'll cut you a check for like the market value of the vehicle.
My sister's car just got totaled.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But those are material things.
Yeah.
Glad. I hope she's okay.
She's okay.
Okay. That's all
Thank
that
God.
matters. You can replace a car.
She already did.
But yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's funny you say that. My little brother, he got hit. Some lady kind of ran a light and rear-ended his little Honda Fit.
Did she stop?
About a month ago.
Did she stop at least?
Yeah, but she totaled his car out.
Well, whoever hit my sister ran.
See, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
That's karma. That's another topic. But that's our idea of insurances,
Yeah.
right? Something happens, you pay a little bit deductible, and it gets fixed. Well, when it comes to home insurance, and how many people actually understand what their home insurance, hazard insurance policy is and what does it cover? Because what you pay for the home may not be what is being insured, right? Typically, it just insures like the home being rebuilt, the value, the cost of the rebuild of the home. You got to remember, it's like there's a value to homes too, right? Like there's a lender. Is the lender getting their value covered? So are you in an earthquake zone? Do you have to have additional earthquake insurance? Are you in a flood zone? You mentioned Sacramento. Like the whole Central Valley is usually in a flood zone.
A lot of it. Yes.
You're paying an extra deductible on top of your home insurance. Then now we have fire zone. I'm dealing with I'm closing a deal in the Oakland Hills area. And on top of the normal insurance, you have to have fire insurance or a certain level of fire insurance, depending on where you're at. And what does that cover? What do things cover? If something happens, are you even being covered? Because that one, what was that city called in Northern California that burned down?
Paradise. Yeah.
Right? Paradise burned down and no one wanted, the insurer was like, yeah, shut up. I'm not paying anything. It's like, well, what were they paying insurance for?
Yeah.
Right? And if you guys don't know this, a lot of companies over the last couple of years have left California.
Yes.
They do not insure in California. Or what they were doing is they may still insure, you may be grandfathered in, meaning if you had a policy, they let you continue the policy. But what they've been doing is like doubling your rate, kind of forcing people to cancel. And they're not taking on any new business. And these are big companies. I had Farmers Insurance and they tried to double my rate and weren't doing any more policies.
Right.
You know, so it's not like just some random companies. It's like some of these big time players are like stepping away from California, not just in home insurance, but also like vehicle insurance and stuff like that. And, you know, it's like, to me, it's weird. It's because, look, we're paying all this money. What's the likelihood? You know, insurance companies make money for a reason, right? They're like, they're mandatory to have. In most cases.
Yeah.
Right?
You can't buy a home without it.
Yeah. Even a vehicle. If you own your vehicle free and clear, you still have to have insurance to drive legally. On a home, you do not. If you own your home free and clear, you actually do not need to have insurance.
But if you're buying it when you're financing it.
But why would you not have insurance on probably your biggest thing you own, your business asset, right? So it's like, it's almost like you're mandatory to have this stuff. And then when it's time to use it, you can't. Like they're walking away. So where'd your money go?
Right. Exactly. Oh, yeah, man. I mean, we can go on and getting into the details of, let's pause it, bro.
No, it's cool, man. Like, so think about it. Think about this. So down in LA, right?
I don't know where to take it from there.
You know, down in LA, all these homes, you know, people are saying, oh, you know, the neighborhood. Okay, let's talk about the neighborhood. The neighborhood, the Palisades fire. Are you familiar with the area, Victor?
Not much. Yes.
I mean,
the Palisades is north of LA,
it's
right?
Like Malibu, bro.
It's like north of Santa Monica Beach.
It's the prime real estate. It's like prime real estate in Los Angeles County. These homes, like there's, you know, anywhere from a couple million to 30 million, like multi-million-dollar homes, breathtaking views of the Pacific Ocean. You know, you got homes that are built on stilts hanging over with like private beachfront. This is like the prime area in Southern California.
I did see a $35 million home being lost to the fire.
Yeah, there was one. I saw something. Some person just purchased the home 30 days ago for $8.5 million, and now that home is rubble. So we're not talking. And look, I'm not trying to, you know, my house isn't $8 million, right? I'm just saying, like, in the grand scheme of things, the neighborhood or neighborhoods that this destruction is taking place, typically stuff like this don't happen in neighborhoods like that, right? Like you would think that these neighborhoods would have the right infrastructure to prevent like a crazy fire, okay? But it's happening in these neighborhoods. What are the odds that these insurance companies are actually going to go ahead and rebuild somebody's $30 million house?
I mean, they pulled out 6 months ago, right?
Yeah, but those people still, then they got insured by somebody else. Like just because your insurance pulled out from that area doesn't mean that they didn't want to go get another. There's someone that's going to insure. Someone is willing to take the risk, right? So that company that was willing to take the risk, what are the odds that they're going to fulfill all their obligations? I mean, if you had to take a guess, Victor, and you just a gut feeling, do you think that those insurance companies that are insuring that area are going to pay out everybody's claim?
Well, it's estimated that it's $50 billion worth of damages has been cost to this point. Who's going to take on $50 billion?
That's my point. That's what I'm getting at. That's the thing. Like we have insurance. Stuff like this, it sucks that it happened, but stuff like this can happen. Planet Earth is crazy, right? Like Mother Nature is undefeated. You know, we could be the smartest people on the planet, but if you don't have the right infrastructure, and what I mean by that, having fire hydrants that work, enough civic services. You know, why does this neighborhood not have a fire? I mean, they pay enough in property tax. They should have a fire station at every end of every block. Right? Think about it. That person with the $35 million home, how much property tax are they paying a year? $500,000? And they don't even have hydrants that work? And that's another that's something else. We can get into that a little bit later. And that just shows like how bad the state has been managed, right? But now, boom, neighborhood, 50 billion. And you have, let's just say you have a dozen insurance companies spanning this neighborhood that's insuring everyone's home. You know, their business plan is not, they're going to have to replace a whole neighborhood. Their business plan might be some water damage, right? Might be fire. Here's the thing. These homes are probably not even covered unless they were, we don't even know. I don't know specifically. Were they even in a fire zone?
I mean, they were in the hills, and usually when you're in the hills.
But let's just say they were at a low risk fire zone, right? No one had fire insurance. Like, just because you have insurance, it doesn't cover you against wildfires. It covers against like house fires, meaning like you get a short circuit in your wall from an electricity and something burns down. That's what's covered.
So that's different. Wildfire and
regular fire,
and something happening inside of your house because
different.
You left the stove on or something like that.
And even then, that's negligence. That's probably not even covered. What's covered is you had like a faulty outlet that you didn't know, and it short circuited in your wall, and it caused a fire, right? And you know your home went up, and they were able to put it out. You more than likely can get your claim cover there. You left the stove on. That's negligence. You're not covered, right? But now Mother Nature comes. If it's, who knows? This whole thing might be arson. Just kind of weird that a fire starts in the middle of winter.
Well, it was not just one. It was 3 fires in Southern California that they even have a satellite picture from up above, and they all started at the same time.
It's pretty crazy. But what I'm getting at is like, if these guys didn't have wildfire insurance, and a lot of times, and this is from my experience dealing with this deal in the Oakland Hills, some insurance companies won't even insure for wildfires. The state has its own insurance policy called California Fair Plan. But I was talking to one insurance agent, and she never recommends California Fair Plan because California Fair Plan is so underfunded that it only has enough to cover, like, they only have X amount of money in reserves. I can tell you it's not 50 billion. I forgot the number she told me, but essentially she said if something, it's crazy because we had this conversation literally weeks, a week or two ago before this happened. She literally said that if like something had happened, like in the Bay Area in the late 80s, early 90s, you had the Oakland Hills fires. If something like that was to happen, they wouldn't have enough to fix everyone's home. So now I'm thinking, man, what if these people had the California Fair Plan? 3 people are going to get their home fixed? It's crazy, dude.
Yeah, I know. It's insane. So what do you think is going to happen now moving forward, Mark? Like now that the, devastating wildfires happened and we hear what the news is saying, we've heard what the governor has said, which isn't much, to be honest. What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, here's the thing. You're going to have some people there that they're in fortunate situations. They probably have the capital to rebuild their own home, insurance or not, right? But you also got to remember too, just because you live in a affluent area doesn't mean you're rich.
Also, the question is, do they want to rebuild there after all that?
Yeah.
Would you want to go through a second scenario where it burns down again?
I mean, it would need to be built correctly. Like, here's the thing. Like, that's a great point, Victor. So, the big pushback was, you have the mayor of Los Angeles or whatever. I don't live down there. I don't know who she is. But they cut the budget, right? Whereas in like some rumor, like the thing is they cut like almost 18 million away from the fire department. Yep. Like, why are we cutting? Why? Here's my gripe, dude. And the reason why these insurance companies are pulling back from California is because California is not set up to handle stuff like this, which is mind-blowing. We are like the richest state in the country. if we were our own economy, we would almost be like a top 10 country in the world.
Top 6.
So we can't even put out a fire? Like, I know I'm trying to make light of the situation, but like it makes me nervous.
Right.
Right? It makes me nervous as a homeowner. You know, what if my neighbor's house, and my home's newer, so I have a sprinkler system and everything like that, right? But what if my neighbor's house goes up in flames? A couple years ago, it was really windy. There were some brush fires. I live by the Delta. There's empty land. They evacuated the neighborhood down at the end of Cypress, Summer Lake. They evacuated them. You know, that's 5 miles down the road because there was fires and there's only like one way in, one way out. Well, if that came to my house, you're not going to be able to put it out because we don't got water in the hydrants? What am I paying? What am I paying all this insurance for?
I mean, you live right next to the Delta too, and
I live right next to the water. They live right next to the ocean.
And you have no way of getting that water to put out that fire. That's crazy.
It's crazy to think about it, bro. But think about this: like you helping some clients out. What have you been experiencing, Victor, over the last couple years in dealing with like new homeowners? Right. Let's talk about how this affects maybe someone that's listening that is wanting to buy a home.
Well, I mean, all you got to do is take a look at the buying agreement.
Okay.
Okay. So now that residential purchase agreement, actually, the residential purchase agreement has been changed, and you now have extra protection to cover you as a buyer. If you're not able to find affordable insurance, one that you're happy with moving forward with in this purchase, then you have the right to back out. That's what a lot of people.
So that's like another contingency.
Yes, it's another added contingency that protects you as a buyer. So it's giving. I mean, that's a good thing for new home buyers. But it makes you think: why are they putting this in? Like, what's going to happen in the near future when like there's not enough insurance companies to cover you? What are you going to do when your insurance is, way more, twice as much as what it was?
Well, you've done some deals in the Central Valley.
Yeah.
So what was that experience as far as like maybe if the home was like in a flood zone?
Yeah. So
how did that process look?
So a lot of buyers are, now that I learned my lesson, because I didn't know this when I was in my early career, but as I learned about it in certain areas, now it's almost an obligation for me to give them an idea of what it's going to cost before we actually go see the home. Because if it's going to increase their payment, they might not even qualify to buy that home. So why waste their time and having to go see homes that they can't purchase because of a home
when
insurance?
You say like what's a typical, let's just say we're not in a flood zone.
Okay.
When you give someone a quote for hazard insurance or homeowner's insurance, same difference. That's just what it's called.
How much would it be?
How much do you quote someone a month usually?
It's anywhere from $150 to $200 usually.
Okay. So now you're in one of these flood zones in Central Valley, right? Choose you a flood zone. What can that payment look like?
It can look sometimes in some occasions up to $300 more.
So you're talking like $500 a month.
$500 a month.
Just to be insured.
If it's high risk, yes. And it's an expensive home, it's going to be more money.
So in relation to like the overall approval, like so my insurance is $500. Why does that affect my approval?
If you're only able or allowed to make a certain amount of payment for a home and you have to factor in $500 extra per month, then that drops how much you can actually afford to buy.
So the insurance payment, what I'm kind of leading you towards is, can you explain to the buyer, the potential buyer that's listening to us, when they get approved for a certain amount of a home, right? Say it's $600,000 they're getting approved for, and their payment's going to be $5,000 a month. What does that $5,000 a month include? Is that just the home, or does it include?
No, it doesn't. So you have your principal, taxes and insurance.
Okay.
And as well as your principal, taxes and insurance, and
interest, right?
And interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then mortgage insurance too.
Yeah.
So insurance is two
There's
things.
two.
It's like the home insurance, and then the mortgage insurance, depending on how much you're putting down.
Right. So all of that is factored into your payment. And so let's say if you're going through a loan process and they're trying to qualify you to use a certain product and it allows you to make 50% of what you make a month, then and that payment is $5,000, if your insurance is going to go up, then what you can afford, principal and interest monthly, is going to lower.
It's going to go down.
So
yeah, no, 100%. And that's kind of and that's something to think about, because when the lender gives you that estimate, they're estimating your insurance cost at $150 to $200.
What is a basic number?
Yeah, same with we run into this a little bit in East Contra Costa County when it comes to property tax, because some cities have like additional special assessments. But when the lender does when the lender's doing your estimate, they're doing like 1.25% property tax. Typically, established neighborhoods, it's usually a little bit less than that. But like some of these new neighborhoods, it's less than that, but then there's another special assessment that brings it over. So now, to your point, it's kind of the same thing with insurance now. Like this home may check off every box. And then you go get insurance. One, no one wants to insure the place, right? Two, those that do insure it are charging a premium because your options are limited, because it's in a flood zone that it floods every 100 years. You know what I'm saying? Like the risk is a little bit higher.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, bro.
If you live next to a dam or a levee.
If you're below the levee.
If you're below that, then it goes even higher.
I did one,
it's crazy.
And the structure, the home was built kind of on like our elevated foundation. So the home above, because the living quarters were above the levee, it was cheaper. But if the living quarters were below the levee, it was damn near impossible to insure.
Yeah. You had to look elsewhere.
And on their insurance policy, and it's like a vacation home, but on their insurance policy, the structure above the levee is insured. The structure below, if there's any like inhabitants, like they're not supposed to be any living quarters down there, and it's not insured because it's supposed to be just foundation.
Right.
So it's nuts. Now we're talking about how do you, like, fires, bro? Like, this whole thing is crazy to me because it's like everything. I feel like maybe the fire itself wasn't preventable. You can't, if it turns out to be arson, you can't prevent some crazy person from lighting something on fire. You can't be everywhere at every minute, right? The thing that is like maddening to me is, how do we let it take over a whole neighborhood? Like, we don't have the resources. We have the most it's such a populated area, highly densely populated area. And it just goes to show we don't have the infrastructure to like tackle like a major event. There's no way that whole neighborhood should have been up in flames, bro.
No, you know what's crazy, Mark? Before this happened, I remember reports, they were talking about like a windstorm coming into the LA area. And it's like, if you know you have high winds coming in, wouldn't you be prepared in case something sparks up, let alone 3 fires at the same time?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's crazy, man. And I lived in Southern California for a little bit, and it gets windy all the time. It's like here, we live in the Bay Area. What are we known for? Earthquakes.
Right.
You can only you can do some preventative stuff for earthquakes, right? So when they build homes now, the foundations are built differently. They're built to kind of sway with the ground. Like, there's stuff that we do to try to prevent. So to your point, we know these areas are like high winds. Okay, why are we not spending some of these tax money like cutting down the brush, making sure stuff's not going to spread? Doing the preventative burns where they burn the area, right? The controlled burns. They kill the grass.
They do that in other countries. Look at Mexico. They do that all the time.
Okay, so I didn't know that. Like, that's what I'm saying. Okay, it's wintertime. Why are these homes don't have like fire? Why is it not mandatory to install, sprinkler systems in these homes, even if they're existing? Like, who cares? Like, it's cheaper to spend. It's cheaper for the government to what is it? What am I trying to get at? The word incentive. They give incentives. So you buy an electric vehicle, you get a $7,500 tax incentive. Why can't you give incentives for people to install fire prevention on their homes in high fire areas?
You know, it might be a little controversial, Mark, but I'm gonna keep it very real with you. They rather protect the ecological system, the nature, the animals, the tree, instead of protecting people's lives. That's just how I look at it. I'm gonna keep it real.
Yeah, and I get. I mean, we're animals too, right?
Yeah, right, but like, you know, like
I get like the wildlife, but my thing is this: like the actual neighborhood, right? It's an established neighborhood. There's new homes. I'm sure the new homes had like sprinkler systems and stuff because it's code. But why are we not spending if we're in high? So, use an example in Oakland Hills, right, where I'm doing, where my client's buying and kind of in that. On the outskirts of it now. So his insurance wasn't as crazy. But like driving through these neighborhoods, there's like old trees and like, why are we not cleaning this stuff up? Why are the roads like so crappy? It's hard to get cars in and out. Potholes, you know. Do we know if the hydrant systems are working?
They're never tested.
Where is the money going? Like the property tax we pay should be fixing this stuff. You know, America had a huge renaissance after the Great Depression. And that's why that President Roosevelt was looked at as like one of the greatest presidents, because he took the tax money and invested in building America. The freeways, the highways, the infrastructure, the Hoover. Look at America, what was built between like the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Some of the world's most craziest structures were built here. Bridges, dams, power plants, like everything was built then. What has been done since? What has been done since? Our grid here in America, in California, they want us to go solar, but the grid can't even handle, like the electric grid sucks, right? We have pipeline work taking place right outside our building right now. How long is it they've been working on that for like 3 years. You know, like why does everything take so long? And why do we wait till it breaks to fix it instead of just using the tax money to prevent it?
Fix it before it happens.
And the insurance companies are seeing this, and they're like, you know, California's too risky for us. Think about that, bro. We're the most profitable state probably in America. I don't know the facts, but I'm pretty sure we are, right? We probably have the most money in this state. We have some of the highest real estate prices in the country. For companies to not want to have business in this state tells you everything you need to know. Think about like you invented a product and you want to sell, and it's a normal product. I don't know, man. Think of something like you invented this guitar, right? And everyone likes playing this. It teaches people how to like play the guitar easy. Or you're a drummer. You invented drums that teach you how to play drums. Yeah. And it's like the craze. Everybody loves it. But you can be like, you know what? I'm going to sell it to 49 states, but I'm not going to sell it to California because it's too risky. That's basically what these insurance companies are doing.
Right.
That's crazy. Like they're willing to take a loss to their business than to insure us here. It's a problem, man. It's a problem. I know you pulled up some stats for what's going on in LA, and why don't you kind of go over kind of what I know you said it was like 50 billion in damage. You know, what's some other stuff you pulled up down there?
Well, up to there's at least 24 fatalities to this point.
That sucks.
It's burned. The Palisades fire has burned 23,700 acres, approximately 13% contained. The Eaton fire is 33% contained, burning 14,117 acres.
That's crazy. So the 13% is not even
half, not even a quarter.
Not even a quarter, dude. It's crazy. Have you seen some of the pictures?
I have. It looks like a scene out of an apocalypse or something.
Yeah,
It's
dude,
crazy.
It's crazy. So here's the thing. If you guys are listening to this, if you want to donate, I'm sure you've seen it on social media. I don't have any direct links, but you can always do the Red Cross, right?
Maybe we'll post one in the YouTube feed.
Yeah. We'll try to get a link for you guys to post. If you guys want to donate, do your part. As real estate agents, we have some friends in the industry that are down there. I see them posting all the time too. So, if you have it, if you can, I always say a dollar goes a long way, right? So, if it provides a meal for somebody on that given night that lost everything, it is what it is. But yeah, man, just some food for thought, guys. Like when it comes to, and I don't want to make this show political, but if you're a homeowner or you're planning on being a homeowner and you vote, right? And you vote, like these are the things that you need to start thinking about. Like, how does it act? Like, what policies actually affect you, right? And look, I'm human. I got a heart. I understand that we make some policies to help the less fortunate, and that's fine, and I'm all for that. But we also need to make sure that those that do work hard, those that are trying to reach the American dream of being a homeowner and all this, that you're protected too. And that in a case of an emergency like this, that we are in a position to handle it. Just plain and simple. Like, we need to stop allotting money for stuff that never takes place, for stuff that doesn't benefit the livelihood of everybody in the state. Because like it or not, even those that their homes are not in the fires, even those that are the less fortunate that maybe are living on the streets, they're breathing all that smoke. It's causing some type of health, like what's the long-term effects?
Everyone's being affected.
Everyone's being affected, right? So, it's like we need to be smarter of who we are electing and holding them accountable for where this money is going. Because
a little bit more transparency would be nice.
There's a lot of money, especially those neighborhoods that burned down. If I lived in those neighborhoods right now, I'd be pissed because for a fact they're generating millions upon millions of dollars in property tax, income tax. Like that neighborhood alone probably pays its fair share in taxes.
I can only imagine that person that donated to the fire department, because I'm sure someone did.
Yeah.
Just imagine, man, how they feel.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. So wanted to bring that up on this topic. Insurance, if you have more questions, you can always reach out to us. We can kind of explain a little bit more in detail how that can affect you as a buyer. But just keep in mind that that's a big piece of the puzzle nowadays. It used to not be, but now it's a big piece of the puzzle when trying to buy a home, is making sure that you are properly insured and that you understand what is covered and what you're paying for monthly in case of a tragic event that's taking place in Los Angeles. And with that, Victor, I really got nothing else to say. Prayers up to everybody in LA. Let's pray that there's no more people losing their lives and they can control some of these fires. And with that, guys, we look forward to winning with you.